Hey, welcome back to another episode of Friday Foods and Facts with your favorite guy, me. All right. So, today I wanted to talk to you about, and it's a little bit more educational, and then we'll go into, how it affects things. But I wanted to talk to you about inflation. Um, you know, what inflation actually is. The term's being thrown around a lot lately, and people may be using the term but not really knowing its true definition, and how we get to where we are today. So I want to talk about that, and then how it affects the market, and then just kind of give you some information, something for you to ponder. And from there you take that information and do with it as you will, but it's meant for you to be successful. And before we get started too deep here, above you'll see contact information, website, email, phone number. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. I do these every week, as well as leave comments for whatever questions you have, or any insights, or just whatever you thought was useful, or things that you may want to have discussed in the future. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. So, inflation. We all are dealing with inflation right now. It's a worldwide thing. It's not just here in America. It's throughout the entire world. Everybody's dealing with inflation. And essentially, what inflation is when there's too many dollars chasing after too few goods, right? So there's a lot of money in the market, but there's not a lot of things for people to spend it on, because inventory is low, and it's not just housing. It's goods in general. For a while we were dealing with the supply chain issues. Things just stuck out in the middle of the ocean. On a freight ship, and metal containers, they couldn't get into port. So, unfortunately, that caused there to be less goods for people to be able to obtain, and meanwhile, people had some money to spend. So, and the market, the Fed was still, pushing dollars into the market. So, there's more money in people's pockets with less goods to actually spend it on, thus leading to this inflationary cycle. So what does inflation do? It causes the price of goods to go up, and it also causes the price of rates to go up. And I want to talk to you about how that works in direct correlation. So the reason that inflation causes rates to go up is because as time progresses, money doesn't buy what it used to. So let's say, for instance, you had a mortgage and the payment was $1,000. Well, $1,000 today doesn't buy what it did 10 years ago. That $1,000 10 years ago could stretch a whole lot further. So as time progressed and we go through, annual inflation, and it increases little bit by little bit, that same $1,000 is worth less and less. So, if investors were getting payments on a fixed rate mortgage at $1,000 10 years ago, and they can't buy the same things that they can now with that same $1,000, they're essentially losing money. Even though they're constantly receiving payment, they're losing money because the market is taking that money away from them. So as inflation increases, so does interest rates, because the people servicing your mortgage, they're not going to want to continue to give money at a cheaper rate than what it's actually worth right now. That's going to put them in a hole. So it behooves them to increase interest rates as well, to start at a higher point, so that as inflation continues, because again, we deal with it annually, but just not at this large of a scale that we're dealing with right now. But as inflation continues and that money becomes worth less and less, they're losing not nearly as much as they were if they had started at a low point and then inflation continued to rise. Well, now that money is worth pennies on the dollar, you know. So like to kind of paint a picture, out of roughly every $15 in the market, $14 of that is created by credit, meaning, someone goes out and gets money lent to them to obtain some type of goods, right? And let's say if it's a car, and let's say it was $10,000 for a car, and like with prior to inflation, that $10,000 for the car might have yielded like a $280, $300 payment or something like that, depending upon the time frame of the loan that was selected. Well, now that inflation is so much higher, that payment might now be, instead of $280 or $300, now it may be $420 or $450. And that is outside of someone's budget. So what that's going to do is that's going to cause them not to then go and purchase that vehicle. So that's going to then not put that extra money into the market because they're not buying it and paying interest on it. So now that should actually help stave off some of this inflation because the goods are still available. But there's no excess of funds that is being pushed into the market. So, it's just, it kind of works hand in hand. And I want to put it in perspective of mortgages, right? So roughly 18 months ago, interest rates were, mid threes, let's say 4%. Okay. So if we're looking at a $200,000 loan at a 4% interest rate, your principal and interest payment over 30 years is going to be $954. Well, everybody was talking about that. I'm just going to wait till rates come down. I'm going to wait till rates come down. Well, look where we are today. We're 6% and above in most scenarios. Sometimes you can get it at 6%, or you can get it below 6% if you're willing to pay points, or maybe do like a 2-1 buy down type situation, something like that. But that same $200,000 loan amortized over 30 years, instead of it being a 4% interest payment, now let's say it's 6%, which is still being nice because honestly the market is above 6% right now. But if it's at 6%, that payment went from $954 to $1199. So that's that's an increase of, what is that? Sorry. $11.99 minus $954. That's what, $245. Yeah. So that $245 increased your payment. Or that 6% interest rate increased your payment by $245, which if you were at 200,000 was your maximum at 4%. Well, now at 6%, you can't afford that $200,000 because you were trying to wait for rates to go down when we were in a prime market, and now this inflation has kicked in and rates are up, and you've effectively lost roughly $41,000 in buying power. So you no longer qualify for that $200,000 property. Now you're looking at something like in the 159 range. But that didn't stop the prices, the value of the houses going up, which, as we talked about last week, has been continuing to rise year over year over year, right? So if that's continuing to rise year over year over year, and people are making gains on the value of their house, that same $200,000 isn't going to buy you the same house anymore, let alone for the fact that you don't qualify for that same $200,000 anymore because the interest rate is up. So again, like I've been advising you, for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, get in the game. The opportunity is now. Take advantage of the market because, again, interest rates aren't going to stay like this forever, okay? They are going to go back down. We are actually already seeing some of that. We saw some of that yesterday. The bond market had a nice rally based upon the CPI, or Consumer Predictive Index, and that showed that the combat against inflation is working. And as a result, the bond market improved, and we got some better pricing yesterday. And so that did help to bring interest rates down. Obviously, it didn't bring it down to the 4% point or anything like that, but it did help bring it down a little bit, which made things a little bit more affordable for people. So definitely want to, take advantage of what's going on right now. A lot of people are holding off because, one, they think, rates are going to come down really, really soon, which, I mean, I've been telling you they are going to come down probably within the next 6 months. But if you wait to that point where the rates drop, everybody's going to be in the game, which is going to make it that much harder for you to get the property that you want. And then that's also going to create bidding wars, which is going to drive the price up, because now we're backing into a supply and demand type situation, right? A lot of supply. I mean, little supply, a lot of demand, right? There's not as many houses on the market, but everybody wants to get it. So then it becomes a seller's market again, and the sellers can then command top dollar. Use this opportunity right now as leverage to get what it is that you want. When the rates come down, we can refinance you into a lower interest rate. You'll benefit because that'll help you save your payment, but then you'll also benefit because you're not paying more for the house, so to speak, and you're not competing against that many more people for the property that you're interested in. So it's going to create opportunity. It's going to create a position for you to succeed. But you can't do that if you don't get in the game right now. So again, don't let the media scare you. Take advantage of what's available today. Use that as your opportunity. And myself and Tramar, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Marry the house, date the rate. And so to reiterate, what that means is find the house that you want, that you can qualify for right now. Get it. The rates are going to change. We're not going to stay in this overinflationary period for forever. It's going to create an opportunity for you to lower your payment and save more money on the house. But you can't do that if you don't have the house, right? So marry the house, get what you want, date the rate. Take the current rate that's available right now, but then move on to a better interest rate down the road. And there is opportunity for you to get rates that are below the market right now by leveraging this opportunity that you have of there being fewer buyers and there's still inventory on the market. You can get seller concessions. The seller concessions can then help you do a 2-1 buy down situation in which you're using the seller concessions or the proceeds of the sale from the seller's side, and they're going to gift you that money to help pay some of your closing costs. You can use that to pay down your interest rate, obtain a lower interest rate, which is going to help you obtain a lower payment for a certain period of time. And then by the time it's ready for that interest rate to adjust, the market should have adjusted as well, which then we can refinance you and then lock you into that rate where you are from the initial 2-1 buy down. And then any of the extra proceeds that you saved from the 2-1 buy down scenario is just going to go directly towards your principal if it hadn't been used already by the time you maybe went to refinance or something like that. So leverage this market today. Use it. Let's be effective. Let's create opportunities for ourselves. And the inflation is here. It is slowly going away. But don't let that stop you from being successful. There's indicators in the market of recessionary periods coming. The jobs report was showing that there's more jobless claims that were made. Over this past time period, and that the continued need for unemployment is still there as well, which kind of makes it seem as though like if you lost your job, it's harder right now to find another job, right? So, with that being the case, it's harder to find another job. That these indicators typically are pointing in the direction of we're rolling into a recession type situation, So in the recession, the statement has been made that recessions is where millionaires are made, because they understand the market. It gives them the opportunity to get things at a cheaper point, so buy low, and then when we come out of the recession, sell high, and make more money on it. So let's do that. Let's be the smart money people, right? Let's take advantage of that and and use that for your benefit. Oh, hey Lola, thanks for joining. But yeah, let's take advantage of the market and this opportunity, and let's create future wealth for ourselves by positioning ourselves to benefit from what's going on today. And let's have a little foresight to improve our life in the future, So with that being said, I'm not going to keep you long. It is lunchtime. I understand people have, lunch to eat. I myself are probably going to go get some in a little bit here. But I did just want to kind of give you an education on inflation, what it's doing to the market, how you can win in today's market, even with its inflation, what to expect, and what your average thought cycle is right now as far as like what people are doing, why they are or are not moving on the market. Don't be the one who misses out on this opportunity. Investors, they get it. I'm seeing investors buying up the market like crazy right now. If you don't want to continue renting, get in the game. Let's buy a property. Let's get out of the renting. Let's get out of that 100% interest, and let's cut that down to less than 10% interest. That's a big win, a 90% gain. And you're putting that money away for your future. And it's going to continue to grow. So let's do that. Let's win. Let's be the best that we can be. Take advantage of this market. And with that, I will see you all next week. It's been another episode of Friday Foods and Facts. Again, the contact information is above, so you can definitely reach me there. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitter. Just search Kyndal McAllister, DKMC. Or you can just Google me, Kyndal McAllister. Or you can Google Friday Foods and Facts. These videos will come up. You can Google it, Bing it, whatever is your preferable search engine. But the information is there. There's ways to get a hold of me, and do so. I want to help you succeed, and now is the time. All right. You have a great weekend and enjoy yourselves. Everyone be safe, and call me. Let's get a pre-approval letter out. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Thank you.